Hey, good morning, and thanks for coming back to the channel. It's Tuesday, September 12th. I put the date out there because it's that many days after this crazy governor of New Mexico uh, did this public health emergency uh, blocking of the Second Amendment in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, there, which is the county in which Albuquerque lives. This is an update, and kudos and my apologies to all of you Second Amendment folks that went and stood in Old Town the other day and you were rocking your stuff. Good on you. I was glad to see that. I feel so much better that people did get in the street. And what was very interesting is that there was no visible law enforcement presence from any agency except for the van that is kind of like a surveillance van. I don't know what it does, but there was no contact being made by any law enforcement uh, to any of the people who were open carrying pistols and long guns, which I found totally cool. Um, I was glad to hear the follow up from the sheriff of Benillo County, which was which was after his original comments. Haven't heard crickets from the police chief yet on camera, but the sheriff did not mince any words. Did not mince any words. Uh, all law enforcement was blindsided, probably including the commander of the state police. I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet about that person. That person, whoever the commander of the state police is, has not has not put out a statement. I think the reason is because he reports directly to the governor, where the sheriff is elected by the people of Bernalillo County, and the police chief reports to the mayor, who also didn't support that, as well as the district attorney for that area down there did not support that, and they're all Democrats down there, including the sheriff, by the way. So uh, yesterday, the governor came out, guns blazing, against the sheriff. Paraphrase. I'll just paraphrase what she said. Fuck you, she said to the sheriff. Oh man, I think her first sentence was, "I don't need instruction from that sheriff about the Constitution." And my thing is, oh baby, you need education from somewhere because you got it totally wrong. Uh, Nothing is absolute, and this is the verbiage of a tyrant, right? They hate being constrained by law, right? Donald Trump is an example. She's just a female version, a Democrat version of what Donald Trump wants to be, because he would do that same shit, by the way. Don't get that twisted. Don't get that twisted. Tyrants hate being constrained. She is constrained, like all elected officials are constrained by the Constitution. All government in this country is constrained by the Constitution, and they hate that because they want to do something. She was under pressure from somewhere to do something, and somebody said this might be a good idea. Apparently, she blindsided the law enforcement people that were sitting on either side of her. They had no idea she was going to do that until they showed up, and they told her before the press conference that started that they did not agree, right, and that they would not enforce that. So apparently that conversation took place before she went on camera. But now she's coming back saying, screw you. What I'm interested in seeing what happens next is if she gives strong direction to the commander of the state police. You go now. This is not an arresting. You can't get arrested for this if you're open carrying, but you can get a you can get a ticket. You can get citation. Uh, so she can command the commander of the state police. You get your people out there. You get your people out there, and you find whoever, and you write those tickets. And I want evidence that you're writing tickets to these people that do that. Well, that's fine, But the district attorney has already said, we're not doing anything with that. So they can write citations all they want, but it's not going to go anywhere. At least that's the current understanding. But this is a very serious early indicator of how desperate the anti-gun, anti-self-defense, anti-defense, anti-armed citizen groups, right? They do not want you to be armed, and more importantly, they do not want the increasing number of minorities and females becoming armed, because what's going to start happening is some of these people who are committing crimes are under 18. And so what's going to start happening is armed citizens are going to start making sure that these little rugrats that are out there doing this bad stuff fail the room temperature test or take an unplanned permanent dirt nap. When that happens, you're going to see the hue and cry of the relatives, because those people doing those bad things live inside the community. And the governor and a lot of liberals don't want to deal with what happens when children or people under 18 start getting killed for doing bad things. And I'm not talking about being killed for shoplifting, but I'm talking about being killed for armed robbery, right? 8-year-olds are doing in broad daylight, going in and strong arming patrons in restaurants and bars and stuff, broad daylight. Well, they're doing it with weapons. Most of them are knives. I will tell you, I don't care how old you are. If you come at me with a weapon, I'm not your daddy. I'm not your teacher, preacher, none of that stuff. I'm a citizen that's going to make you stop that, because you could hurt me just as well as a 60-year-old can. So I'm going to shoot you where you stand, right? And let your parents figure out how big the coffin needs to be, or why I'm not going to answer the question, why did you shoot this child? I said, because as soon as the person becomes armed, they're not a child anymore as far as I'm concerned. They're a threat just like anybody else. And they're going to face the same consequences as a threat. I don't have any duty to de-escalate shit. I'm not a cop. My job is to defend myself, defend the innocent, right, and my loved ones. Not to de-escalate anything, because by the time the threat appears, I don't have time to do that. Not gonna, don't wanna. So if you don't want, this is a message to the parents, family, loved ones of criminals, and you know who they are. You know they're your cousin, brother, sister, whatever, right? I don't care if they're on fentanyl. I don't care if they're drugged out. I don't care. Behavior is behavior. I don't care why they did it. That's somebody else. Call a social worker. But once they become a threat, right, to me or any other armed person, then they risk their life. Well, if they're a druggie, they can risk their life by ODing, assuming somebody doesn't have Narcan, or they can risk their life by bad behavior, in which case, problem solved. So anyway, that's a little bit of a rant after the New Mexico thing. It's heating up. One judge was supposed to receive the request for an injunction and basically turned it away. Don't know why. So we'll see what happens today and the rest of this week on that. And at the end of the day, it's not going to stand. She's going to say, I did my best. Y'all leave me alone now. I did what I could do as the governor. And those nasty courts out there, that nasty Constitution, stopped me. So go fix the Constitution and leave me alone. That's kind of like where I think she's going with this silliness. Anyway, if you like the content of this channel, as always, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and do all. That way you get notice of everything. And as always, wherever you are, however you can, whenever you can. Carry on.